3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm a 1983 baby.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So that's the same thing.
Same era.
That's the
yeah.
same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. The best era.
The best era, I would say. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're raised on Limp Bizkit and Madness,
Woodstock '99,
the
that
color,
type of stuff.
the flavor blue, and all that good stuff. So yeah.
I do think we got the perfect. It's like we had kind of an analog childhood, and then we came online with the internet at kind of like the perfect age, and then now with AI, we're like fully formed. So I feel like we've kind of hit the tech points at just the right times.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so. We're the people you call when you have a problem with your computer, generally. We are that generation. And then the new generation, like I have kids, like a stepkid who's 20 and then a kid who's 7. So like those kids don't do that at all.
No.
They have no idea what's happening. They wouldn't be able to type a letter.
They only know one kind of thing, and that's post-internet, right?
Yeah,
so we had the privilege of being on both sides of it, which not a lot of people can say they experienced. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, like growing up in Minnesota. Like, how was that era, of things, and then how you came about to now. Like, we want to know everything. So tell us your story.
Yeah. I'm from a small town in Minnesota. Jackson is like a little under 4,000 people, and we're like 3 hours away from the Twin Cities, so it's like very rural, and that I always yearned to go live in the big city, but I really, in retrospect, it was amazing to have that kind of childhood where you could just be set free, and we roamed around town and went in my grandma's woods, and so I had kind of like a wild childhood in that way. And then I grew up, I always wanted to be an actress, and so I went to college for my BFA and rushed through it as fast as humanly possible and graduated early, and then I started making a lot of mistakes related to the entertainment industry. So I did a couple independent films. I went out to LA and I was broke, so I wound up selling t-shirts on the Girls Gone Wild tour, which was such a crazy experience in a bad way. And then eventually I was very frustrated as an actor. So much of your opportunities rely on other people. Like, you have to audition, you have to get permission to be part of a creative project, and I hated that. Loved acting, hated the process of being an actor. And so I started writing for myself in my late 20s, and then I was like, oh, this is the thing that I really want to do. And so it's been 15 years basically of chasing this new dream, which is even better suited for me and really allows me to unpack some of those earlier experiences. And now I'm publishing my debut memoir. So everything is copy, as Nora Ephron said. I'm making use of all of my mistakes in the past.
Yeah, it sounds like you definitely have a lot of experience with different things and stuff like that. I mean, like moving to LA at such a young age, like how did your parents kind of feel about that? Like, did you know? If you want to be an actor, of course you're going to move to LA. Like that's kind of like the dream, I suppose. Like, did you write a little bit then as well, or did you know like I'm just going to move to LA, wing it, and hope for the best, or like how did that kind of set up? Like moved to LA.
I think it was always a like New York or LA. I think I probably was leaning towards New York, to be honest, but then 9/11 happened when I was in high school, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to go to NYU anymore. So that made the decision for me, like, I'm going to go to LA. My parents knew what my dream was always, but they're very family, small town, they're teachers, like their whole life is simple in a beautiful way, but they weren't like, it was both. It was both. They taught me I could do anything I wanted, but then when I chose acting, they were like, oh God, but not that. So, yeah, I was really good at getting through school. Like I said, I graduated early. I took college and high school. Like I was great at hitting those marks because I was so driven about wanting to get out there and experience the real world. But then once I got out there, I was like, oh, I don't know anybody. Like even my college professors hadn't been in the business recently. Like there was no one that could really show me what you actually have to do to have an acting career, which is networking and having time to audition and all of this stuff. But then, when you're broke and you need money, your life becomes about that just as much as it is about chasing your dream. So that was really like a hiccup of, my early 20s was just like, how do I have enough money to survive?
Yeah,
for
sure.
So you were at UCLA, and then is that where?
No, I went to Stevens College for my BFA. I went to Stevens College, which is in Columbia, Missouri, and I wound up going to Stevens College because they have a summer stock theater in this resort area in Iowa, kind of like across the border of where I grew up. Oh, okay. And so I knew of them through that. And they were like a nationally ranked theater program. And they had a thing where, because you went during the summer and you did these summer stock programs, you could graduate in 3 years. But I had already had all these credits, so I could do it in 2.5 years. And so that was a huge selling point for me. Plus they gave me a bunch of scholarship money. So I was in Columbia for a couple years. And then I did a couple independent films, one in St. Louis and one in Chicago. And then I went out to LA when I was 21 for the first time.
So when you got to LA, like, was it like trial by fire, or was it like what you expected it maybe?
I didn't, I had more of a vision of New York. I had been to New York in high school. I went on a trip with my mom and my aunt. And so I could visualize that a little bit better, but like LA, I had never been there before. So I write about it in my book, but and I was dumb. I was really dumb. And I went out there, I just bought a ticket. For the first time I went out to LA, I bought a ticket because this guy, this producer, was considering me for a independent film that he was producing. And it was a real film, but it was like, some independent films are kind of sketchy and just like the producer team is a little, and I think the bottom line was like, he wanted to fuck me. So but I went out there and I hadn't really thought it through, and I wound up staying with him for the first night. We did not have sex, and then I was like, oh God, I made a terrible mistake. So then I went to stay with a friend of mine from college who had already moved out there. But like, that's how hard I was chasing my dreams at this point. But I would just buy a ticket and be like, I guess I'm going to go be a movie star in LA.
And live with this producer dude for a bit, see what happens. But yeah, I mean, that's the naivety of being, 20 years old. And I mean, that's kind of the fun and adventure of being 20. Like, now that you're a little older, you can kind of look and laugh like, what the hell was I doing? But
you're also, you're like, how did I not die?
Yeah, that's the other half. It's like, I mean, I don't know how many times I've said that. Like, how come I'm not dead yet? Like, it's insane. And it was, it's the 90s, early 2000s kind of thing. Like, it's a little bit different program. There's no cell phones. There's nobody really knowing where you are. You know what I mean? Like, totally different program. Like, you have probably a notebook in your hand kind of thing, some headshot. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same
You're totally right. Because, like, you had a flip phone, you could barely text. It was like, I don't think at that point, like you couldn't be out of communication. Like now, if I were doing that, I don't know if I could be out of communication with my parents for as long as I was without them being like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when did I move? I moved away in 2004, I believe it was. So I was 20. And yeah, like I remember I got my first apartment. We didn't even have a phone, so I had to walk down to a pay phone, which if anybody is under the age of 20, 30, I guess, or whatever, you don't have no idea what I'm talking about. But like I remember doing that because like I had to phone my parents and be like, I have arrived. I have been traveling for 2.5 days in this 26-foot thing that I've never even potentially driven before or got into. But now I'm here, kind of thing, right? Like drove, got it on the boat, whatever. So yeah, like had to go to get this pay phone to call them and be like, I'm alive. It's all good. I will call you the next time I can. Right? That's not that long ago when you think about it, but you're fully out of communication. It's very easy to just like disappear back in those days.
Yeah,
especially,
for sure.
Especially in LA.
Yeah, I didn't even have a cell phone till I was 21, I don't think.
Oh, it was a long way, yeah.
So, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was in high school, and I feel like now kids are getting cell phones when they're like 12, sometimes even younger.
Yeah, very much. Yeah,
What
like
the
I
hell?
know, like so, like even for my oldest, like my stepkid, like yeah, I mean, like there was kids even like 13, 14 that had cell phones then, and I mean that was 8 years ago, give or take, kind of thing. I can't believe I wouldn't do that. You need to stay away from social media. Get off of that.
Oh gosh.
Don't even be looking. Don't even
Totally,
be
but
looking.
it's like an air tag kind of. Right?
Yeah, well, that's the other half. It's like it, but I don't know. I survived without a cell phone.
Yeah.
And I feel like I did way crazier stuff because there was no cell phones too. Like I always kind of look at it that way. Like if somebody was filming you all the time, I don't think we would have been as crazy as we were, maybe.
Boy.
But
Yeah, maybe not.
can you imagine that documentary?
Yeah.
Having to look back at that. No, thank you.
We'd have so many videos of us doing fucking jackass stuff. Like,
Oh yeah,
when that came out.
Yeah, endlessly. Yeah.
So like you said you sold shirts for Girls Gone Wild. Like now, how the heck does that transition happen? It seems like there's a story there.
There must be a story
that's
there.
a good question. So in college, I started doing this thing called promotional modeling, or like being a brand ambassador, where you basically pour yourself out for a Fortune 500 company and promote whatever they're trying to promote. And it was a good job for an actor on paper because it was so flexible and it was decently paid. It's probably sadly been paid the same rate since I was doing it 25 years ago. So it's probably still like, $30 an hour. But at that point, it was like, that's good money to have this flexible job. So I started doing that. I did gigs for like yogurt companies and, Sports Illustrated and whatever. And then I had this long resume of doing that. So when I got out to LA, I was looking on Craigslist in the like event gigs section where I found all these other random promotional modeling gigs. And that's where I found their listing for Mantra Entertainment, which is the company behind Girls Gone Wild. And they were looking, it was like, do you want to get paid to party and travel? And I was like, yeah. And I was so broke at the time. I was staying on my friend's futon and just did not know how I was going to be able to get my own place there. That first time I was out there, I did, this was the second time I was out there. So like, I did have a car at this point, but like, I just had I didn't have enough money, and I couldn't not conceptualize how I was going to get started. So I was like, this is the answer to my dreams. Like this, I'm going to make money on it. But in retrospect, it was like no money. I was on the tour for 7 weeks and I made like $2,100. Like I was just looking at my tax return. I mean, maybe they didn't fully report the whole amount, but that's a ridiculously low amount of money.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even a good game plan. And then here's the thing about Girls Gone Wild. And I'm sure you guys remember, if you grew up in this era,
Oh yeah,
there were late night infomercials, and they seemed kind of tame, right? It was like fun parties. It was girls flashing, but the boobs were censored. So I was like, yeah. And, there was lighthearted steel drum music, and it all seemed really fun, like a good, cool party, and like pretty harmless.
Yeah.
And the thing is, those infomercials were actually promoting porn, and I have no problem with porn, except that the way that they made it was by getting girls drunk at these events and having them sign contracts that they had not previously thought they were going to sign. Yeah. It's not like they were presented with the contract sober or like they had a chance to think through it or anything like that. It's just like these girls go out to this fun party and then they get drunk, and then all of a sudden they're signing their rights away and like, eating out their best friend on the bus. It's like, no, that's not.
Yeah, that's awful, man. Like, to do it that way. Yeah, I mean, you didn't know what's his name, Joe Francis, or anything, did you? Like the guy who made that stuff?
No, I never met him. I think he had just started to kind of have legal troubles when I started on the tour. So I think he might have been in jail. I can't remember exactly. But no, I did not meet him. I met other people from the office. Obviously his legacy looms large, and I learned a lot about how the business worked. But yeah, he's kind of a tragic figure to me, because he did have a really good idea, except its execution was so flawed. It's like it was the predecessor to OnlyFans, but OnlyFans, the creators are in charge of the content. They make 80% of the money. It's way less exploitative. It's like those people are choosing to go into it. And so he did have a good idea. It's just like he executed it in a really horrible way.
Definitely,
and I think it ruined his life. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
He was a severely flawed person, right? I mean, he was shady in all aspects of his life, not just this. So it's like kind of goes hand in hand with everything else he was doing in his life as well, right? So he kind of got what he deserved, and you know what I mean? Like you said, it's a good idea in theory.
Yeah, like, execute it properly, give her, kind of thing.
If everyone's consenting and it's handed to them beforehand to actually consider what they're actually signing. But to kind of underhand everyone and kind of you're exploiting people, right? And making money, lots of money off that shit, right?
Tons.
So,
damn. It does still make me sad, though. I mean, I should save my sympathy for like someone maybe more deserving, but I do think of the roller coaster, like the mind fuck of, he's on every talk show. He's like this.
That is true.
Cultural figure. Yeah. And then it's all over and everybody hates you, and you did deserve it, but that also is horrible. So I don't know. Maybe that's like misplaced empathy.
Yeah, I don't know. I know what you mean. I understand. Like, I think, and I mean, I don't know the guy obviously, but you get kind of swept up in the momentum of it too. Like maybe it started as like a funny, even maybe a funny idea almost kind of thing. Like, oh, this could be interesting and funny or whatever. Now next thing you know, you're on Oprah or whatever. You know what I mean? Like insane stuff going on. So yeah, you're probably propelled in that direction without even trying it. And it's hard to. People love money, so it's hard to. It's hard to turn back. Yeah. It's hard to turn back, right?
Totally.
That's what I think.
People love money and people love fame, or they think they love fame. So.
Yeah, that public recognition. That public recognition like that.
There are all types of people in Hollywood. So
yeah, I mean, fits the bill. Seems right.
So I've been told. I've never been there. So no, you tell me.
Oh, you guys have never been. No. I actually love LA. I think it gets kind of a bad rap. But there are tons of shitty people like that, but there are also just such like pure, kind-hearted artists, and it's like of all the. I'm in Austin right now. I'm like an Austin resident. I just moved last year because my husband is doing business here. But anyway, I love to go back. I'm going back next week to LA, and I think of it as like this utopia. It's like the only place in my life where I'm like, this is like perfect home.
I don't know, it has like a certain mystique, I guess, about it. Like, especially, like, I don't know, maybe it's our generation or whatever, but like LA was the thing. Like we're in Canada, but like Toronto is kind of like the LA, you know, that kind of thing, and then LA is the LA kind of thing. Like it has this. I don't know. As a kid, that's what I want. I mean, I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to go play in rock and roll bands, and that's where I wanted to go. Like I didn't. That's where I wanted. So
wanted to skateboard and just play guitar, and that was the place where it was just sunny all the time. I've never been, but I would like to at least once.
Go. It's so good.
Yeah,
but I also want to go to Austin too, right? So
there is
that place is kind of blowing up right now, and there's a lot of activity there. Like, have you've been doing stand-up comedy in Austin? I presume.
I've done a little bit. I don't love the Austin scene.
Right. I guess it's a little different for comedy in Austin.
There's a couple. It's kind of like a split scene, and one part of it is very like Kill Tony, Joe Rogan, which is great, and those shows are huge. But like when you go to the open mic next to the Kill Tony, next to where they do that, it's like, I made a joke when I went to the first mic that I went to there, and I was like, it feels like a gangbang. It's like all guys that are just looking around like awkwardly. And it seemed, so I was like, I don't know if this is my home.
I don't know about this.
You much prefer the LA scene then?
I'm actually going back to do a bunch of mics, and then I have a stand-up show on the 15th. So that's kind of my thing. Quarterly, probably I'll like go back and do a taped show and go back a little early so I can do a bunch of mics to prepare for it. I've done a few shows in Austin, but like I said, it's kind of like a split. Yeah, it's different. But I mean, there are great places like the Hideout Theater. I did a show there. That was lovely. But I guess I've been so obsessed with my book that I haven't, after I went to those first few, that I was like, oh God. I just was sort of like, I guess I'm going to do most of this in LA.
I mean, well, that's where the Comedy Store. I mean, it's such a legendary place, and Laugh Factory there, and there's so many different places I could go on and on. But yeah, like it's definitely, to me, that's a part of California as well. Like it's comedy, it's LA, it's what I mean. Like it's a legendary place. So yeah, I don't blame you for choosing that place.
No, I agree. So what was it like? Because you went to Second City, like so like what? So now that we're on the comic kind of topic or whatever, like how did that now, obviously it very much influenced what you're doing in your comedian career, but what was that like at Second City? Like that's a legendary place as well.
I didn't do Second City in Chicago. I did Second City classes virtually, so like I didn't get the experience. I was actually in Chicago doing an independent film with people that were doing Second City, and I actually sort of regret that I didn't stay and go there, because I do think that would have probably started my writer journey earlier, and like it would have been a great launch pad. But I moved to LA right after I did that film anyway. I moved back to LA. So I didn't do that. I'd taken classes at all the like Second City in LA. I did UCB in person, which is like an improv and sketch comedy place. I hate improv. I mean, I admire people who can do it really well, but I do think that is a brutal art form.
I would agree with you on that statement. I like watching people who are really good at it, but to actually do it, no. I'm not quick enough. I'm not.
For me, I would have a hard time just not breaking. I would just laugh. I would just laugh, and it would just become silly. Like nobody, like, what is this guy doing on the stage?
Yeah.
Get him out of here. He's just laughing the whole time.
And I have horrible opposition disorder or whatever kind of thing. So like, it doesn't.
You
know what I mean?
You wouldn't be able to yes and.
Yeah, I can't always yes and. Like I want to say, I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Well, see you later.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Big gulps. See you later.
They're like, what the hell? This scene's over. Okay.
I just can't, because I've attempted it, like not like on a stage kind of thing, but like at classes kind of thing. It's no, it's just not for me. Does not jive.
Yeah.
Does not jive.
I
But it is
did.
fun.
I got up to 301, and then I was like, "What the hell am I? What am I doing with my life? I have to stop." So yeah, I love stand up because I started writing bits before I ever even realized that I was gonna get on stage. I was like dating this stand up, and I don't know. It percolated in me for a long time while I was starting to write essays that eventually became my memoir, and I was starting screenwriting. And I didn't start stand up right away, but I had been writing little bits, and like I have an old Google Doc. Some of them are terrible, some of them are funny. But had been writing bits. So like when I actually started in 2018, like pretty old for a stand up to start, I loved it. It felt so natural. And I actually feel like because I'd been writing for so long, like I got good pretty quick, like faster, a lot of people that start, they're like, especially when you're early in your 20s, it's like, you don't even really have a worldview yet. So you don't even really know exactly what to write about. You don't really have a point of view. So that is one benefit of starting kind of later in the game. And then I've just been obsessed with it ever since I started.
So because I'm like, to me, it seems like your career, like with the writing aspect, obviously now is translated into your comedian career. Like, so take it back to the writing thing. Like, so when did you originally start writing? Like, you grew up in a small town. Like, were you writing early on, or was it like something that kind of grew as you got older, kind of thing?
I never thought of it like I'm going to be a writer as a job, though I did say something really cocky to one of my classmates, like I'm a female Shakespeare. So I must have had some inkling, but not really. I was just so passionate about that I wanted to be an actor. I wasn't even, anything else was like a blip on the radar. That I could even do anything else was not even something that I thought of. But there were clues along the way, like I had entered this essay in this contest for my local library and won. And, I had always been a good writer in school. I was a ravenous reader when I was growing up. And I had this weird habit of like, I always would write down words that I didn't know and then look them up and or like write down ideas. For what? I don't know. I was just like randomly, I would have these little like notepads full of shit that I didn't know what I was going to do with, way before I ever thought I'm going to be a writer. I really started writing, let's say 2010, fall of 2010, 2011 is when I really started writing. And I started because, like I said, I was a frustrated actor, and I was like, God, how can I have more control over this? And people were making short film or like web series at the time, and I was like, maybe I can write a role for myself, and I can create an opportunity for myself that way. And then I went through a brutal breakup. I wrote an essay about it to try to process it. And then I was like, oh my God, essays, that's also amazing. So I started doing, and this was around the time I was taking improv, and I was taking sketch comedy classes, and I was making little web shorts and stuff like that. So the screenwriting and the essay stuff all started around that time. And then I just kept growing it. In like 2016, I wrote on a animated show for Amazon. Oh, in like 2012, I was like a writer's assistant on a USA network show. So I had these experiences, and then the whole time simultaneously, I'm like writing essays for XO Jane, and then the LA Times, and then Washington Post, and slowly getting bylines that way. And eventually I got good. And and then I realized there's a book. And I just want to say this for anyone listening who thinks they want to write a book, is it's okay if it takes a while, because in thinking back through this process, like there's a little piece of an essay that I wrote, my very first essay that was published in March of 2011 in the book. It's been heavily edited, but like there's a little piece of that there. And around that time is when I started thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to write a book someday. And I'm so glad it didn't happen in those first few years, because the book that I thought I was writing was called How to Mourn the Loss of Your Drug Dealer. And it was like about these bad breakups I'd been going through. And it was just immature. It would just, if I would have finished that book, even though it would have included some of the stuff that is in Girl Gone Wild, it would make me cringe. It would make me so embarrassed if I looked back on that book today. But I let myself cook enough to now, I really started working on the book in 2020 is when I got serious about it. And still, that's 6 years ago. And so like it's okay if the process takes a long time. I'm really proud of this book, and I can't say I would have been if it would have been finished any sooner.
That's right. Like, I mean, the book would only be half finished if you put one out in 2012 or 2013, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And now you can almost look back at it like retrospectively and kind of, analyze it and kind of like revisit, rewrite what what you were trying to achieve back then, right? With a new set of eyes and a whole new perspective, for whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the distance was big. Like especially in your first. It's like now, I think I could write something a lot closer to the experience and have it be good, because I'm just a much better writer and just a smarter human than I was then. But like when you're developing your talent, and especially on those first couple of books, it's great to have that much emotional distance from the thing, because then you know what's true. Like the truth changes, right? Mm-hmm. As you grow and you have more perspective on it.
Yeah. And almost therapeutic, really, like all the writing process the whole time. Like, it must have felt good kind of getting things out onto paper and
oh my God.
And sharing them with everyone, right? So that's probably the best part, right? That people can relate and, think about their own struggle or their own time in their life where they can kind of, benefit from reading your experience, mistake. Right? So
yeah, that is a weird thing that I'm gonna learn what it's like, but I've written stuff for the internet. So it's not like I have no experience with this. I've written stuff for the internet and whatever all these years, but like, no, I don't know what it's going to be like to have a bunch of people put their own experiences on my book. Even getting the first review was a mind trip, because it was great. I could not have asked for a better review, but like you can see the way that somebody interprets it that is not exactly what you said or what you felt. And everybody's going to do that. That's the reading process, right? Is it makes you feel something about your life. And I want my readers to do that. Like but what I've really learned is that what is so precious for me is that beginning writing process, when it's just for me and when I'm working all the shit out and I'm not thinking about what's my ex-boyfriend gonna think about this, and I'm not thinking like, oh, my aunt's gonna read this, or like all these other voices in your head. It's so beautiful to just have it, like you said, therapy. It's been like liberation from some of that shame that I had around those early experiences. It's been amazing. And now I'm giving it to other people, and I hope they get the same thing out of it, but they're going to have their own thing. And some people are going to write on Goodreads like, I fucking hate this stupid bitch.
Well, that is the joy of the internet, more particularly, versus the book even. It's just the joy of the internet, really. But like, how does it feel? I mean, it's not like I say, it's not fully in the world, but like, how does it make you feel that, to be that vulnerable? I know like the initial kind of go at it is just like, it's get it out of my brain kind of thing. But like trying to be vulnerable with yourself and like allow yourself to just put it on the paper. I mean, you have to edit it down, but put it on the paper in the first try. Like, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, it felt good. It's so funny. When I was in my early days of writing and I was dating that stand-up, I have these memories of feeling like I didn't remember enough to be a writer. Like, right? I was like imagining myself writing a book and I was like, how am I gonna, but I really think, I was just thinking about this recently, but I don't think I couldn't remember. I think I was trying not to remember some things then because I was closer to them and like some of it had been traumatic. And so it's like picking at a fresh wound or whatever. Like I wasn't ready to really look at it. And so, yeah, in the last 5 years, as I've been working on this book, it felt good to just know that I do remember all of that. And then I felt like really good about being able to, my hope is that it reads like a novel. And so, it felt good to apply everything I know about craft to make it like a really good read. It feels good to just like say my most shameful, it's just like, I'm good. I accept myself fully as a person, even the versions of myself that I didn't like before. It's been amazing for that. And then, yeah, I don't know what this next stage is going to be all about. TBD.
We'll check back. We'll check back for your reaction later.
Yeah.
I know it's all new, right? I mean, it's another threshold you haven't crossed yet, or another thing you haven't crossed off your list yet. So, I mean, I'm sure the reviews are going to be great. People are going to love it. I mean, I can't wait to read it, and I think everyone can read it too. I mean, men, I'm sure, can learn a lot from
oh yeah,
a woman's perspective, and maybe they have some shit they haven't dealt with in their lives, and they need to look at it from a different point of view as well. Like maybe it might.
And also show like it isn't exclusive to men is a big thing too, right? Like that's another big side of it. So, yeah, I'm excited to read it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, I did an interview with this couple in Australia, and they read the whole book, and the guy is like a little older than us, right? And he was saying, he's like, it's rock and roll. He's like, this book is rock and roll. And I thought that was so fucking funny that this long-haired man.
But that's an excellent reaction, I guess. Like that's a genuine reaction, I feel.
Yeah, no, I felt so seen because memoir writing is like kind of nerdy, right? Yeah. But when I published my first byline in the New York Times, I was thinking like, I'm a fucking rock star.
Yes, full circle. Absolutely. Full circle. Oh yeah, hell yeah. I would too.
Yeah.
That's probably what I would write.
That'd be the headline. I'm a fucking rock star.
That'd just be a picture of me.
I think what's rock and roll about it is that it's kind of rare to like be that vulnerable and forthcoming. Like usually we're doing some sort of like facade, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. And most people try to, regardless of the level of shame, even or whatever way you want to put that, you do put up a little, you put your guard up, you put your armor on a little bit, and you hide certain people. Do the whole thing where like I'd tell you something, but I won't tell that person something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's all this kind of funny stuff. So it's cool to put yourself out there. Like, I think it's awesome. Like in that kind of way, like it's the most vulnerable thing you could do. In my opinion, to be fair, is like put out your own story.
Totally. And no takebacks. It's like, this book is going to exist in people's living room. Anybody can order it off the internet and like read it. So yeah, that is a little bit rock and roll.
I think so.
That is rock, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, just not caring what anyone else thinks, doing what you want to do. Like, that is rock and roll.
Yeah, I love it. We'll change gears necessarily, but like getting into your podcast and stuff like that, because I thoroughly enjoy parts on it. I fucking think it's wicked.
Thank you.
So like, what was the transition? Like, I mean, now I'm a little bit further down the line. I can kind of see the relationship, but like, what was the transition, between, do you feel like the Girls Gone Wild experience kind of semi set you up to get involved in that? You know, you kind of do some activism, that kind of stuff as well. Like, do you think that kind of set you up for that? Like, if you didn't have that experience, maybe you wouldn't do that thing?
I don't know if I would be a sex podcaster, but the funny thing about it is I started podcasting in like 2013, 2014, not like the first wave of podcasters, but like pretty early. And it really started as just a vehicle for comedy. My writing partner and I at the time made this show called Voicemails to Self, and we played like caricatures of ourselves. And then we had comedians play other characters in our lives. And it was like kind of batshit crazy in like the best way. So the episode would be like, 5-6 minutes, and it would be a day's worth of voicemails in our life that told the story. It was amazing. We made 2 20-episode seasons, and like I love it. And some people that did that show, like Beth Stelling, Whitmer Thomas, like they're like real, they have careers now. So it's kind of funny to think about working with them on that. So that was like my first podcasting experience, and it was great. I'm so glad that I kind of unknowingly got into it, because it's like a great skill to have. I mean, I don't know if it bleeds into you guys' professional life, but like, it really does. It can open doors. It can be like great networking. It can do all these things for you. But then I started in 2016, I started a show called Reality Bites, which is on the same feed as Private Parts Unknown. It was like the precursor. And I started it because I was a frustrated dater at the time. I actually met my now husband right after I started that show. But at the time I was just like, I had gone through all these bad breakups. I was trying to figure out how to be single. I was, Tinder was like such a thing at the time. And so I was like kind of dating around. So my best friend and I started that. And then I just loved the medium, and I kind of loved having these intimate conversations about relationships and sex and sexuality and all that kind of stuff. And so we did that first season together, and then I did a few more seasons. I had a couple other co-hosts over the years, and then in like, I'm going to say 2019, 2020, it transitioned into Private Parts Unknown as it is today. And the idea was, as a huge Bourdain fan, like we're going to do more travel. We're going to go, like we went to Helsinki, Finland, Mexico City, Tokyo. We got a happy ending massage on the Tokyo trip.
I was reading that article last night.
So those are incredible experiences. Now I host the show by myself, and I am not constantly doing like crazy shit for the show. I'm having like really amazing conversations about all kinds of stuff, like just things that I care about, reproductive rights, everything from that to like wild sex stuff. I interview porn stars, all kinds of stuff. And really, I do think it's related to, as you were asking, like Girls Gone Wild and some of those early 20s experiences, because my mission is like to destigmatize a lot of stuff that I feel like shouldn't be wrapped up in shame. Like we should be able to talk about this stuff. And it's awesome now in 2026 to look back and look at this podcast that has evolved with me over the past decade. And I love that I have this audio archive of me kind of growing up in this way.
Yeah. I mean, podcasting is, like you said, it's great for that. You can, network with people. It completely, like, we're not, professionals by any means. Obviously, as you can tell, we don't do this. I don't do this at all. But it did help me kind of step out of my comfort zone to the fact, it's like to realize that I actually like doing this. You know what I mean? I want to get better at it. I want to, talk to more interesting people and stuff like that, and learn about them and stuff like that. So it's definitely awesome in that aspect. And I only wish that we kind of started as early as you did in it, because it's it's still.
Oh, it's
maybe
not over. You're good. You're good. But also, I started, and then, however many years later, I had built these skills, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to work in podcasting. Like, it was so hard to get another writing job, but there were podcasting jobs, and I was like, oh, this is like perfect. I can do this, and it's creative, and so you never know what is down the line. But yeah, I think it has a lot of benefits, and it just makes you a better speaker, a better thinker, a more interesting person.
Yeah.
My confidence of just talking to people in general, like
Absolutely.
not that I'm overtly shy to start with, but like I wouldn't go out of my way necessarily. But now I even find myself, chatting with the person in front of me at the grocery store or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'm a little bit more,
Absolutely.
I don't know, I just chat more kind of thing. I'm a little bit more, I feel I'm more open because I feel I've been exposed a little bit, I think, is part of it. I mean, we've got like 150 whatever episodes, and we talked about a lot of stuff. So I feel exposed a little bit, so I don't really care as much, I think, as some of it. You kind of lose a little bit of that. You're like, oh, well, if you can watch it on the internet anyway. So it's one of those things, I feel like. But yeah, it's a very cool medium. And because I guess when you guys first, you still do audio, but there was no video really, I guess, at that point, really, eh?
What's interesting is the first season of Reality Bites, we were with a network. My best friend at the time was an actress, and there was a company called Jash that made like Norm Macdonald's podcast, Doug Benson's podcast, and our podcast.
Wow.
So they did video because they were doing video for Norm, and they were doing video for Doug.
Yeah.
And so our first season was on YouTube. And I'm actually trying to kind of get back, because now video podcasting is like a thing. So I'm kind of trying to get back to my roots a little bit in that. But yeah, we should have kept doing it. We were ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
It would have been the trendsetter at that point. But yeah, because we started as audio as well. Like, and then we were like, well, we could try that. And now we're
gradually grew into this, what it is.
Yeah.
now, so.
Yeah.
Don't you think people are more forgiving of, like with my audio, I edit the shit out of it, and I am really precious about how it sounds. And it's way more time consuming than video, really, I think, because people are more forgiving of whatever in video. Like they'll just watch. There's more stuff going on. Yeah.
I would agree with that. Like, because like even like I get really picky over the audio because that's what I do or whatever kind of thing. So like I get picky over it, but then there comes a point like only recently, like I have a template I kind of have, because like we do it all ourselves kind of thing. So like I have everything kind of set up now, and that's just how it is. And that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have stopped worrying about it almost, because I don't know. I just kind of look at big famous podcasts, and essentially what I look at is like, if they can do that, so can I.
Yeah.
And whatever, you know what I mean? Like whatever flies in those realms, like regardless if I'm a fan or not, but if it flies in their podcast and they're getting a bajillion people watching, well, we can do it too. It doesn't really matter, obviously. So that's kind of my idea, I guess, in the editing way. Like the video thing, I don't really edit much, like maybe a pee break, whatever, something like that. But like I don't really edit it, like, because I do like the full thing, regardless of how it looks or sounds almost. But I do get really precious over the sound as well. Not gonna lie about that.
Totally.
But yeah.
Same.
But yeah, the video thing was a big transition. Like it felt different at first, because I found without the camera, you kind of let loose or whatever. It takes you a while to back off of that again and forget the camera's there.
How many episodes did you do before you started video?
25,
30 maybe, something like that.
Oh, pretty early. Okay.
Yeah, because it was just kind of like for fun in the beginning, because it was a whole different thing technically supposed to start with. But yeah, so it was interesting then, because then it was like, well, we could try it. We could have phones. Like, how hard could this be? And then here we are. And then here we are. But it's fun. So like,
I love it.
You also do like some podcasting and do some other stuff about, producing podcasts, starting podcasts, monetizing, all those things. So take us into that a little bit. Like if you were kind of to give a little bit of free advice to people kind of starting up or wanted to just like pick their niche and kind of go for it, like what would you say to them?
Oh, this is so interesting. Okay, so I could talk for literally hours about this. I have a whole Substack called Podcast Bestie.
Yeah, go for it.
But I mean, one of the things I would say is kind of what we were just talking about is like people want to start a podcast. And I'm like, yeah, you should. I don't know if it should be a podcast only these days. I think especially, I don't know if you guys are you on Substack?
Not us, but I was on it at one point, just kind of posting random stuff or whatever. But now I've kind of stopped and taken a second look at it again, and
you should start one for your show, because you can. I don't know your back end, but I think it would fit in. The thing is, the podcasting is so intimate, but the only downside is you can't email your subscribers. Like, you rely on your listeners to come back to the show, and that if they don't come back, you have no way of getting in contact with them. But if you have their email, you can send them, a link to your live show or whatever. And so I really encourage people to start an email list. If they're starting from scratch, start on Substack. The hosting is free. You can also do Substack lives. And I'm doing some of my Private Parts Unknown interviews as Substack lives first. I published the video when I published the audio episode because of what we were just talking about, because I feel like people are just way more forgiving of like, they don't need the video to be edited. And so Substack will just do it for you. It'll publish it right to your YouTube channel, and you can send it to your email list. So it just kind of consolidates a few things.
That's pretty sick, actually.
Yeah. And, if you are ever thinking of like starting a like premium feed, or having a paid part of your community where they can listen to extra parts of your chat or whatever, it's really easy to do that built in on Substack. I sound like a Substack. I sound like I'm shilling for the company, but I do think it's a really good tool. And I think it's a great thing for people to, especially like writers, who have I asked for like my blurbs? As a writer, you have to ask for like blurbs of other writers that go on the back of your book. This person I know from podcasting, this person I know from, it's like 3 out of 4 I know from podcasting. And I've actually also interviewed the 4th person. So it's like, those are relationships that you're building versus you wouldn't you wouldn't be networking in that way. And you've already sort of like given them the gift of promotion a little bit. Not like they don't owe me anything, but it makes the conversation for some of those next collaborations a lot easier when you've already talked for, it's like, we're going to be talking for an hour plus, so you already have like a basis to collaborate again, or like when your book comes out, you can go back to them. And so I think it's helpful kind of regardless of what you do or what you learn about. If you're like trying to get into something new and you're like, I'm obsessed with birds, I gotta get a bird job. It's like, yeah, okay, start interviewing everyone you can about birds, and eventually you'll have the bird job.
Yeah, I think that's a great tool everyone can use. I mean, even like ourselves over here, like we could something we could, make it more of a personal connection with anyone listening, right? So like, I think there's kind of a disconnect there with Instagram to an extent.
Yes,
like we kind of put it out there, but like not everyone knows like we're on a set schedule and when our podcasts are coming out and where they can see this, that, or the other. But if we could send it, directly, email,
because
Substack, and the
email listing has been coming up in my kind of researching and whatever, looking around, because that's kind of where we're at. It's kind of like okay, can we monetize? Like, how do we reach more people now? Like, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? Kind of thing. Like, it's been 2.5 years or whatever at this point, so. That's very helpful, because we did use Substack in the beginning, I feel like.
Well, it's kind of the origin of this podcast.
Substack. That's true. It was the Substack, I guess, yeah. So.
It was?
Yeah, I guess technically it was. I kind of forgot it was like that at the beginning. Yeah. Because
Who's your host?
What's that, sorry?
Sorry, who's your host?
We're just using Spotify.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you could host for free also on Substack.
Because I think that's what I did first. I feel like I can't remember how I did it in the beginning, but I think that's what I did.
I think we jumped to Spotify.
I think so too.
Yeah, we jumped early.
I don't know. I mean, because you can still distribute your Substack through you can still distribute to Spotify through Substack. And then if you want to, it depends on your volume. Because like on Private Parts Unknown, it would be worth it for me. I'm with a network now, so I am hosted on Megaphone and whatever. It's a whole thing. I love my network, but that show is bigger. Private Parts Unknown is like established. It's bigger. I also have another podcast called The Bleeders about writing and publishing. I host that on Spreaker, and it's not big enough to like really make the programmatic ads. It's like kind of a wash. Like it covers my hosting fees, but I'm not making money really off of it. I promote my classes, so that's great. But if you are eventually at the volume where you want to capture, you don't want to sell ads, but you want to be able to monetize with programmatic ads. So like you just put slots in, ad slots in, and let the company fill them. Something like Spreaker or Captivate or something like that would be worth looking into.
Interesting.
We're still growing.
Am I talking Greek to you?
No, we're percolating in our brains.
Yeah,
right
percolating
now.
here.
Because I know you said like any advice for anyone. Well, we're taking all of this advice and we're going to use it to best.
We're also very much listening. We're also listening.
But yeah, we appreciate you, having so much to help us out with that. That's definitely great. Something we can go off of from there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But so I wanted to talk to you about something else too, because we were into the Parts Unknown thing and whatever. But you were also, advocating, doing reproductive rights. You're talking kind of some of the states taking back Roe Wade. Mm-hmm. So what's your take on that kind of stuff going into 2026 here, like with everything else that's going on around you? Like, what's your take on all these things now that it's a couple years, down the road from all this? Like,
well, I'm in Texas right now, and Texas is one of the most restrictive states. And I don't think people realize that abortion is healthcare. Like, if you want to have a baby, which I'm at the point where like I kind of have to decide, am I gonna do this? Because I don't have very much more time to figure it out. And it's a really hard decision to make here because people die. People that want to have kids die because, they'll miscarry and the hospital will be too worried about getting sued or going to jail or whatever, that they won't actually treat a woman that is suffering a miscarriage. And it's really dangerous. You can go into sepsis, and it's horrible. And so it's a real concern for not just people that don't want to have kids, but people that want to have kids too. And so I really think it's an important issue for literally everyone. I also did a series on the show several years ago now, before this stuff was happening, when I was kind of like on the precipice, where I interviewed a bunch of men about their abortion experiences. And I think we think of it as just a women's issue, but it's like, it's an everybody issue. And so I think, some places, I think Kansas, a few other states where it's been put on the ballot, even red states want abortion rights.
Yeah.
Like really in practice, this is such a shitty law to overturn Roe v. Wade. And so I'm hoping there's some movement. I just voted in the primary election in Texas, and one of the ballot measures or the propositions was to put abortion on the ballot for next fall. And so, hopefully that passes and we can get back to like a little bit more normal.
A bit more realistic terms,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Because it's just on like to me, and I mean, obviously I'm a man, but it's just unrealistic. Like,
Hmm.
you know, and you can have whatever type of belief in not believing in it, but like of everything in the world, like you have to say, okay, well that person is about to die. You have to do something about it. Like that part. That's the part that gets me the most of all of it. In reality, like I can kind of not like I sympathize, but I can understand where people come from for not believing it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. They don't have to get abortions.
yeah, exactly, right. Like that's up to you.
Yeah.
That's your right,
Right.
kind of thing.
You probably don't have to deal with it in that case, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
So like,
but especially in the medical situations, you know, especially life or death, you know, these things to me are insane. It's like, I don't know, it's just craziness. And then like, you know, now you're forcing people across borders. You're doing, you know, the alleyway weirdness. You gotta go see Bob or whatever. Like this is nuts. Like, you know, we live in a society. We're 2026 here. Like that to me, it's nuts.
Yeah.
That part's nuts to me.
It actually doesn't reduce the number of abortions that people have. They actually go up, and some of them are more brutal. It's like then they're later abortions, and so you're just delaying care for people and forcing them to, like you said, you know, do something unsafe or have to travel, or really putting them in a position where they have to delay it so much that, you know, it's not ideal for anybody involved. And so I fucking hate it. Oh my God.
Yeah. That's one thing. Like, I mean, I do follow American politics fairly closely. You don't have a choice, I guess. But that was one thing when I seen that come.
Sorry.
Oh, it's interesting from here to a certain degree. But it's just like even when I seen it, I was like, what are we doing? Like, this is back on a ballot. We're talking about overturning it. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it shouldn't even be on the ballot. It shouldn't even be a thing. It should just be a thing. Like,
yes.
What are we even dealing with here? Like, to me, that was insane. That's one American thing. I was like, this is craziness. What are you guys up to?
I mean, I'm sure I'd love Texas.
Oh yeah,
but
I mean, it's not everybody.
I think they're
obviously
behind the times in certain aspects like that. I mean, like no one should ever be in jail for a joint, or no one should ever be in jail for, you know, needing an abortion. You know what I mean? Or it's just it could solve so much issues, and like I said, like people delaying it and putting it off until they're, you know, it's at the last minute, and like I said, it's unfortunate for everyone, and it's, you know, I think it's you got to get
back on that, everybody.
Yeah,
put
really,
your head back on street. That's what I was.
What are the vibes up there? You guys, do you understand that the American people, like a lot of us are really unhappy with it too?
Oh, I mean, you have to be. Like, I think it depends. Like, I mean, I don't watch much mainstream news. I definitely don't. I feel like, I mean, to a certain degree, I wouldn't say business as usual. That's not really the kind of the thing. I wouldn't say that, but it's just the tariffs kind of thing that, I mean, it's kind of ended now to a certain, but like that was a really odd thing, and people were very pissed off about that. that was a big thing. I mean, they took liquor off the shelf, like increased the tariffs on air travel and whatever, made it basically that, and then the way that like putting out basically videos like, do not go to America.
Don't go there.
Yeah, like basically like full propaganda, like do not. So it depends, but it depends on who you talk to. So like where we live. So we're originally from Newfoundland, which tends to be kind of a liberally kind of place, very artsy, old school and artsy, but everybody's very open. It's pretty, I don't know. It's a different country technically, but now we live in Alberta, which is Texas. So we're in the other Texas, basically.
Yeah. I've been. I went there on Girls Gone Wild.
Of course, no way.
Of course we had to stop on that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Gee.
Yeah, we went to Calgary.
Oh, right on, yeah. So like we're in Grand Prairie, so we're like fair ways away from there, but it's the same idea, but we're really far north. We're in kind of redneck territory or whatever you want to say. So like this would be a very kind of, you know, it is a very like pro-Trump kind of whatever, you know, fuck the liberals kind of thing, which I mean, I don't buy in anybody's party technically, but like it's still like, it's like, to me it's obnoxious, you know what I mean? Like that's my take on it a little bit, but we're very much like in Texas here. Like
I would say that's a fair statement.
Yeah, you could get away with pretty much the same stuff here as there probably, I would assume. So like the vibe here is a little bit different, because most people are kind of on board with a lot of stuff that's going on and whatever. that kind of way, but like, I mean, like amongst my peers and stuff, like, I mean, and I work in non-for-profits, like a DV shelter kind of thing or whatever. So like my daily viewpoint is way different than some dude working in the patch on a rig somewhere. So I understand where my mentality comes from versus that guy kind of thing. So like amongst us, I wouldn't, everybody kind of mixes a bit or whatever, but we probably all centrist kind of thing or whatever. So like most of the people you talk to are okay with some of the stuff. Of course, people see the overblownness of a lot of it too, and the ego involved and whatever. So like our friends are a little bit different, but if you talk to the average person, they're pretty Trumpy. Pretty Trumpy around here. So it's interesting. Like the vibe is different here. If I talk to my parents and those type of people, totally different program. It's like totally different thing. Yeah. So it's interesting, but the vibe is definitely off.
Yes.
The vibe is off.
Vibes are off for sure.
Yeah, the vibes are definitely off. But yes, but hopefully everything, I don't know,
but yeah,
what's going to happen next, particularly because who knows. But hopefully it slows off and they can kind of transition to something a little bit more civilized. It'd be pretty cool. Yeah,
I would say this is a pretty right wing province. But I mean, we could also get abortions here if someone
definitely could.
Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, we can smoke weed. We can, like for all the shit that the right wing people give a lot of stuff about Canada and from America and stuff. We got it pretty good. Like it's not that bad. Like I can go to the doctor. I don't get a bill. You know what I mean? Like the dentist, different story, but. Average day, like
that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and you can go and get your abortion, and you don't owe a bill at the end. You can go get your treatment for whatever. You don't really get a bill at the end. Like it's only, you got to be way on the exterior of medical treatment to get a bill. So like, I don't know, man. Canada's pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
There's lots of bullshit, but I mean, that's everywhere. I think.
It's okay.
It's okay.
No, I love it here.
Yeah. So when you moving to Canada?
No, I appreciate Canada. I feel like Minnesota is similar vibe and very and kind of in the social fabric of it too, just like more down to take care of their neighbor and have social programs and all of that, but still very capitalist America.
I don't think you guys can escape that at this point. I think that's just built in now. But that's okay. But that's fine.
So what's next for Courtney? I know you're promoting this book now. It comes out on April 1st, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Right? You can pre-order it now, folks.
Pre-order it now.
But so what do you have coming in the future here?
Yeah, I'm working on the audiobook right now. I'm like frantically trying to get that together so that it's ready for April 1st. I am then I'm doing a few things for the launch. I'm teaching a class related to the book and all that kind of stuff. So I'm deeply in launch territory for a few months, but I cannot wait until I can go back to my writing cave. And I already have like a bunch of pages, maybe half a draft done of my next book.
Nice. And
that is about eating disorder stuff and the culture and do I want to be a mom? And I think it's I work with a developmental editor who also worked on Girl Gone Wild, and they did a read on this book, and they were like, I think this is like the slaps, like this is your best writing. And so I am really excited to get back to work on that. And I don't know. I mean, I have a screenplay written for a pilot of like the Girls Gone Wild portion of the show, I guess I'm trying to put that out of it. The Girls Gone Wild portion of the book. And so, I am manifesting that someday I get to make that. And yeah, I'll just keep podcasting through it all, I guess, similar to you guys.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do.
That's exciting.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. We're very excited. And honestly, I hope you get there for the second book. I haven't even read the first one, but I want to read the second one already. So I'm super stoked about that. But yeah, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We're looking forward to it. Fun. Also, let everybody know before we go where they can find you, especially your Substack and stuff like that. Let everybody know what that's all about.
Yeah, you can find me at thebleeders.substack.com. That's kind of like my main hub for writing and book stuff right now. My website is courtneykocak.com. I'm teaching, like I said, a special class for anybody who wants to write their own memoir. And you can find out all about that at courtneykocak.com/teaching. I'm announcing that on Thursday. So it'll probably be ready by the time people are watching this. And yeah, you can find me on the internet anywhere. Courtney at Courtney Kocak. Last name is Kocak, and I'm there.
Nice. Perfect. Love it. Thank you again so much. It's been another episode of 1985.